There's an England ODI series in the West Indies which started yesterday. England lost the first of the 3-game series. But there's a wider question. Is there just too much cricket? Am I bored of it all? Possibly. Also, last week the Kiwis cooked India, who are in disarray ahead of the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Mitch Santner goes all for Tory, and with Washington DC preparing to welcome in a new president next week, it was Washington Sundar who provided the only ray for the home side, as New Zealand won a test series in India for the first time. Over in Pakistan, England's test side were disappointing. Their failure to cope with a spinning pitch grows ever more frustrating. No matter, it's New Zealand away in a month. Welcome back to Behind the Stumps, where I, Will Kirkup, guide you through the world of cricket with Rayan Amalan and Luke Ashbery. Morning, fellas. How are we?
Morning,
Luke, how are you doing today?
Morning, Will. Yes, very good. Happy Diwali for yesterday to those who celebrate. I was very fortunate that Ray took me out for a lovely South Indian meal. So yeah, happy days.
Fantastic. Ray,
It's my pleasure.
happy Diwali,
It's
my
my
friend.
pleasure to. Yeah, thank you, buddy. It was my pleasure to host you, Luke. Hope everyone is doing good.
Yeah, all good, all good. And Will, fantastic intro, by the way.
Thank you.
Particularly enjoyed the Washington Sundar, Washington DC little bit. So
Thank you. I was very proud of that. I'm not gonna lie. It
very
was
creative.
a real. It was a big moment in my journalistic career, I think. Lads, did either of you watch any of yesterday's cricket? Between England and the Windies.
I must admit, I wasn't even entirely sure it was on. But yeah, I didn't watch any of it because it was on quite late UK time, but I've seen a bit of the fallout from it. And a lot of England fans seem to be disappointed that Overton is batting 8 and not bowling. And also, a very funny stat I read is Adil Rashid is the highest ODI run scorer in that team with 800 or 900 runs. So it just shows how inexperienced that side is. And also, I think the only players from the Test series who are in the squad, if I'm not mistaken, are Rehan Ahmed and Jordan Cox.
Yeah.
So it does seem like a sort of a bit of a throwaway series. And yeah, I guess that's why there's not been many eyeballs on it, or I didn't even know it was going on.
Yeah. Another stat I read is I think Adil Rashid has 140 ODI caps, and the rest of the team combined has 127 caps. So that's another testament to just how inexperienced they are. I'll do a quick rundown of the scorecard from yesterday. I've just clicked on the wrong one. This is more smooth journalism from the lads at Behind the Stumps. Give me a moment. So England lost the toss and they were put into bat by the West Indies. England put on 209 with Liam Livingstone top scoring with 48 or 49 balls. Only him and Sam Curran, who put on 70 odd for the 5th wicket, were able to par 30. With the top scorer after those two, 27 from Jacob Bethel. Gudakesh Moti was the pick of the West Indies bowlers with 4 for 41. The West Indies, who ended up needing to just chase 157 because of Duckworth Lewis, were led by Evan Lewis, who scored 94 off 69 balls before Shy Hope, the Windies captain, hit the winning runs to seal a very, very well-deserved victory. Rashid and Livingstone had 1 wicket apiece in a pretty sort of mundane performance from England. I was trying to find some highlights to at least have to provide some sort of insight into what happened yesterday. But when I searched it up on the on YouTube, I was simply met with like people trying to recreate the highlights on Don Bradman Cricket 17 or like Ashes Cricket 2010 or whatever it is. So it's a bit of a nightmare. Ray, I think because of our lack of actual insight into the England West Indies. I want to think about a different question today. Because for me as an England fan, there's a constant stream of cricket, and I just think there's too much, and it's just oversaturated. And I just wanted to have a little discussion today about that. What are your thoughts? You agree with me, or what do you think?
Yes, mate. I'm the same group as you guys. It's too much of cricket, lots happening in the cricketing world, and hard to catch up everything. So you guys, worried about the England one day match? While no, I my attention was yesterday was the IPL retention. So there's so much happening in the cricketing world. So it's really hard to catch everything. Maybe it's to cater every set of audience for every country people.
Yeah, it's almost just a case of like it just loses all excitement and it loses a bit of meaning, I find, because I'm really into Test cricket especially, but even for me, like we had the Sri Lanka series, and then all of a sudden they're on the plane to Pakistan, and they're playing. It felt like maybe a fortnight later.
Yeah, no,
Luke,
so sorry.
go on.
The bilateral ODI series is literally loses its values because it mean nothing to the teams because it doesn't affect anything. The highest thing in the ODI format is the World Cup, and the bilateral series doesn't nothing to do with the World Cup. While the Test series, it has something to give to the WTC table or WTC Test Championship. While the T20 bilaterals and one day bilaterals has nothing to do with the I think we need some kind of points table for each bilateral series to get the teams taking it seriously.
Yeah,
Or else
yeah,
it's no point to conduct the bilaterals.
yeah. Luke, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, totally agree with Ray there. Just to build on that a little bit, I think, yeah, talking about the World Cup, so I think you're going to get situations where, like Stokes, he's not going to play in any of these bilateral series. He's going to be retired, and then suddenly he's going to come back in and make himself available for the World Cup. And look, I think people want to see England's best cricketers or the best cricketers in the world playing as much as possible. But with everything that's going on and the schedule, unfortunately, yeah, that's not going to be a reality. So, yeah, I think it's difficult. I think it's a bit of a money grab, really. Obviously, the more cricket is played, the more revenue people are making. But as fans, I think it makes it really difficult just to stay enthused, to keep up with it all. And yeah, as I said, I didn't even know this West Indies series was going on, if I'm honest.
That says it all, doesn't it? Yeah, it's just boring, really. Like, I've just lost speaking from the heart, I've just lost all interest in white ball and especially ODI cricket, because it's just like, there's a Champions Trophy on, and then that's gonna happen, and someone will win, and then we'll all just go, oh well. There's probably a T20 World Cup in about 3 months, so we'll just see if we can win that one. And what I think an easy comparison to make is, and you can see it in how meaningless in football, how meaningless international breaks feel, and bilateral cricket has drifted into that sort of drifted into that same feeling where. But the difference is, at least with football, you have one big tournament every 2 years. You have one World Cup every 4 years. So those tournaments have huge amount of meaning. I'm never more invested in any sporting event than an England game, I don't think. Simply because it happens so rarely. A World Cup, a quarter final, a semi final, even though it feels like, don't want to to become a football podcaster, even though it becomes like feels more regular for England to be in semi-finals, finals. It's still, it's happened. A finals happened twice, whereas for England, they're in these important, quote unquote, important white ball games, and they just don't feel important. I don't feel asked about it just because I know there's another one around. I knew watching the T20 World Cup last year. Oh, there's the Champions Trophy next year, and I think it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah, totally agree. I think it's the jeopardy on each individual tournament is less because psychologically there's going to be another one 3 months down the line. And I think, that is a very good analogy to make with the Football World Cup, the hype that it brings. And there's not going to be one for another 4 years. So that's why you're so upset when England crash out. But I think it's the T20 World Cup, I think especially, right? Is that every 2 years that happens now?
So there's a 2026 World Cup, 2026 T20 World Cup, Champions Trophy next year. It's like, well, it's one a year, sometimes two in a year.
Yeah.
Because then there's the ODI, the 1 day World Cup, Christmas
in 2027,
2023.
Yeah, I think especially the ODI World Cup should still be the pinnacle and sort of the premier event. But then we've got another situation in English county cricket whereby there's just been a complete degradation of the 1 day cup, whereby it's become a glorified second team competition. And that's why you're seeing these they're definitely inexperienced at international level, but they're also inexperienced playing 50 over cricket full stop because they don't play it during their county seasons. And I think the way England are going now as well, it's a bit like the test team. They're picking on potential rather than sheer weight of runs or wickets in the domestic competition.
Yeah.
And I've seen actually a lot of people who are getting frustrated about this. And I think case in point is Jacob Bethel being called up for the New Zealand Test series. And I know that sort of raised a few eyebrows. I'm not sure what you two think about that.
When did Bethel last play a county game, a first-class county game? Do we know?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, but I'm pretty sure I read he hasn't got a single first-class 100.
And he's picked him as an all, batting all-rounder.
Yeah, but I think really, like, he's going to play as a batter, isn't he? Realistically, because you're not going to need 2 spinners in New Zealand. I doubt it. So I imagine it will be Leachy, and then Bethel is batting cover. But it must be a real kick in the teeth if you're, I don't know, Keaton Jennings.
Liam Dawson. In the terms of the spinners, Liam Dawson is absolutely robbed of an opportunity. He's never played for England tests, has he? Is that right?
I think he played few matches for England in Test.
Yeah,
has he got any England caps? I don't think he has.
I'm sure he played in India.
I'm having a look.
Yeah, I think with him, I think it was on the last India tour. I think he was going to go as sort of the third spinner, and the rumour has it that he turned it down.
He's played 3. He's played 3 tests.
Yeah, that's criminal. But yeah, I think he was due to go on the last India tour, but he chose to play in a franchise league because he didn't want to just go and sit on the bench in India. So yeah, I think his time is probably gone. But
it has.
He still continues to dominate county cricket, Div 1. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see because Baz is going to take over the ODI side as well. And obviously,
it's pure vibes, God.
Yeah, and I think I think the Bazball sort of philosophy or sort of people's thoughts on it are sort of people are a little bit, I think, worried or critical might be the right word of what they're doing. And And I think, yeah, the questions will be asked if we lose 2-1 in Pakistan. So,
Yeah, yeah. Let's move on. Rayan, talk us through what happened. Obviously, New Zealand won the series 2-0. Bit of a nightmare if you're an Indian fan, I can imagine. Talk us through what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, at one point we were ready to lose at the series at some point, but I'm sure now most of the Indians, 99% of Indians, not expecting we lose a test series against the New Zealand side, who recently dismantled by Sri Lanka. So it's a very shocking. And I think the Indian team took the New Zealand team very lightly after their performance in Sri Lanka. That's the another cause, and the lack of application from the Indian batters against Mitchell Santner. So he bowled very beautifully in the Kanpur pitch by varying the pace, bowling stem to stem, and he bowled the long spells. That's the another thing. So he is the only spinner who was threatening to the Indian batsman, and so he did that perfectly and won a historic match for New Zealand. And as an Indian fan, it was really sad because we lost three Test matches in this year. It's one of the toughest years for India in the Test format. So we won the T20 World Cup. It's really to be fair to say the Test loss is equally as hard as the World Cup final loss. I was really sad about the result, but we have to go through this and need to concentrate on the remaining five matches, try to win as much as possible, and try to qualify for the Lords.
Yeah,
So currently the third Test match is going on, and even in the Mumbai pitch, New Zealand batters played some good knocks. Daryl Mitchell is batting right now. He's in the 80s, battling the heat, but still, in the pitch, battling against the heat and the Indian spinners and scoring runs. So it's
yeah,
the New Zealand batters and New Zealand players need to be appreciated for that. They came and they show the temperament against the quality Indian side. So it's not like an single player's performance. Every individual contributed to the win. So they need to be appreciated for the team effort.
and how about Rachin Ravindra? He's
Oh
pretty good,
God,
isn't he?
yeah. So I remember him playing. I remember watching him playing for New Zealand A against India A 3 years ago in Chennai. At that time, no one notices him. So he's not scoring big runs. He just came in and went as just like another player. But in the last 2 years, his emergence is quite impressive, especially against the knock in the World Cup opener against England. That's what bring him into limelight in Ahmedabad. So he scored a brilliant 100 plus runs and scored a match winning partnership against England in the World Cup opener. From there on, there's no looking back for him. He's rising in the ranks. He might be you know end up as the next Fleming. Who knows?
High praise. Um, Luke, any anything to add before we depart?
yeah, I was just going to say Rome was going to fall eventually. Ray, you know what it feels
Yeah.
like to be an England fan now. Um, it's tough losing. But yeah, I guess sort of India's attention now goes forward to going out to Australia. And I think you were telling me, Ray, right, they need to win 3 test matches out there to
Yeah,
qualify
if we
for
win
the.
the yeah, if we win the third Test match against New Zealand, we need to win another three matches in Australia.
Yeah, and I think actually what I noticed you rested Bumrah for this test.
Test,
Um,
yeah.
who do you think the seamers will be that you'll take out to Australia?
So currently we have Harshit Rana, who's yet to debut, and Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj, Akashdeep in the squad. But if Mohammad Sami is fit, so he can play anytime. And right now the India A is playing against Australia A,
Mhm.
and the seamer called Mukesh Kumar, he picked a six for in Australia. So he's in the bench, he's going to fly with the Indian team as a backup. So if there's any injury, he may come in. So we have a good, well-rounded pace attack, but we need to score some runs with a bat. And even in India, so our bowling attack is quite good. Our batting is the only worrying thing right now for us. So we need to
Hmm.
score some runs to win a test matches in Australia.
Yeah, you need, I think, King Virat to find
Yeah,
some form.
Virat Kohli, yeah, absolutely. We need him really back to win the test matches in Australia.
But one seamer I'm thinking of, he bowls in the IPL really, really quick. Is he in the reckoning?
No, no. So Sally is injured and he's in the National Cricket Academy, Bangalore, as in a rehab. So he's not in the squad. But we have another team called Harshit Rana, who also played IPL. Who's for Kolkata, tall, young lad, fast and bouncy. So he's a tall guy. So in the bouncy conditions in Australia, he might get a chance to show his skills.
Yeah, it's going to be another interesting test series for sure.
Yeah. Just
Hopefully,
one
yeah.
question: would you make any changes to the batting order that has been playing in this New Zealand series?
No, yeah. So I have an itch to bring in KL Rahul into the 11 because it's really unfair for him as a fan because when India toured England last year, he opened the batting for India. From there on, he played in every positions. He's a proper team man, so he's okay with every changes India has made. He kept wicket for India. He has done everything. So it's really unfair for him to not playing in the Indian Test team. But Sarfraz is doing good, yeah. But I prefer KL Rahul in the batting lineup because he has the experience of playing in the overseas conditions. He has a 100 in England. He batted well in Australia. So I wish he will make into the Indian batting lineup in Australia.
Right, class. And predict. We'll do predictions for the Border Gavaskar closer. We've still got a bit of time till that starts. We're a bit late to this, obviously, but we're going to talk a little bit about the 2-1 series defeat to Pakistan. England were beaten quite comprehensively in Rawalpindi last week. They lost, I think it was on Saturday morning. The game was wrapped up. England were bowled out, lost by 100 odd, I think it was. No, it wasn't. They lost by 9 wickets, didn't they? Can't actually remember. Um, they completely failed to deal with Sajid and Noman, who were absolutely brilliant in the 2 tests that they played. They won the series for Pakistan. Really, they were by far the best 2 players on both sides throughout those last 2 test matches, I thought. I also want to quickly discuss Pope, whether there's any question marks surrounding his place. Yeah, so Ray, what are your thoughts on that series?
Yeah, so Nouman and Sajid both were the senior pros of Pakistan, but not the best spinners in the world. But with the pitch aiding to them, they rattled the England batting lineup literally. So after the first test, I'm sure there were a lot of thinking went into the Pakistan Cricket Board and the team, and they have all the rights to prepare the pitch aiding the spin because it's their backyard, and they did that beautifully, and so which made the series difficult for the England because we have seen England struggling in the spinning conditions in the past, and still they have uh, finding the way to tackle the spin. If they need to find it sooner or not, it's really hard to win a test match in subcontinent.
Yeah, I certainly agree. If your thing with if you've got a problem with Pakistan making the pitches suit their spinning bowlers, then and identifying a weakness in England's batting ability, then I think that you're stupid.
Yeah.
I think it's totally fine. I think it's good. We do it. Australia do it. India do it. Doesn't matter. Anyway, and yeah, it's pretty pretty inspired stuff. They went all in. They went full Pakistan with it, didn't they?
Yeah, so they they won the series in Pakistan after a year or so. So it was a remarkable achievement for this Pakistan team and the captain and the new coach. We can be proud about that effort.
Yeah. Luke, thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. I think the beauty of Test cricket is the different conditions that you actually come up against. You know, in Australia, you're going to play on bouncy wickets. You know, in England, you're going to play on seaming wickets. In the subcontinent, the wickets are going to spin. And I think England should have been prepared for that. I know probably more so in India than Pakistan, but Pakistan, obviously after the first test, realised their best way of winning the series was to produce turning tracks. And the decision to bring Noman and Sajid Khan into the team was inspired. I'm just looking at the top wicket takers in the series now. So their two spinners played 2 matches, if I'm not mistaken, and they took 39 England wickets. So only one wasn't taken by the two of them.
Yes, Amar Jamal. I think it was him who took that one.
Exactly. And I actually heard on commentary, I can't remember who it was, but it was a very, very good point, is especially Noman, he's a journey cricketer and playing in Pakistan all his career, he's used to playing on traditionally flat wickets. Okay, so that means he's really developed a skill to change his pace, change his flight. And I think there was one wicket that really encapsulated that, which was Crawley in England's second innings. He bowled an absolute beauty above the eye line, really slow. Crawley came down the wicket, it turned, and he was stumped. And I think that's actually where Leach and Bashir need to learn. I don't think they did badly in the series, either of them. I think they were quite steady. But it was really noticeable how much more skill the Pakistani spinners had.
Yeah.
And I mean, the pitches weren't sort of atrocious, raging turners.
Especially Rawalpindi. Rawalpindi was slow turner, but not especially unpredictable.
No, it wasn't outrageous. I know, to be fair, I think it was Duckett on the first day that got one that really rolled. And I think Root as well in the first innings got one from Sajid that turned a lot and stayed low. But I mean, other than that, there wasn't anything sort of horrendous. And I think going back to England's philosophy and their mantra, they went with the theory, okay, there's going to be a ball with your name on it at some point. We're going to just go really hard from ball 1, get on the front dog and sweep everything. But I think there could have actually been some value in just sticking in, batting time, obviously hitting the bad ball. But I don't think the pitch was so bad that they just needed to go completely gun-ho. And I think you saw how, was it Saud Shakil batted in the first innings for Pakistan?
Yeah.
With the tail, you know, he built an innings and then at the end he sort of increased the rate and put the pressure back on the England spinners. So, yeah, I think there's a bit of a lesson there for England to learn that, okay, you can play attacking cricket, but also there are periods in test matches where you need to be adaptable and change your philosophy.
Well, yeah, it's funny you say that because England batters did actually prove that the method of accepting that you're going to have to soak up pressure first and then increase your scoring was Jamie Smith's 89 on the first day. I watched pretty much that whole innings and he was pretty slow, nurdling singles, blocking a lot. And Gus Atkinson did the same, and then they teed off a little bit and, you know, got England up to a decent total. It turned out 267 wasn't really enough. They needed 300 plus. But they proved that you can apply that England have the talent to apply themselves. Like Gus Atkinson got 40, and there are better batters than Gus Atkinson in England's lineup. There's no question. And he proved to maybe that top order that, you know, with some application, runs weren't there to be had. That's an exaggeration, but runs could be accumulated. And of course, Shaquille proved that as well with even more aplomb. Ray, have you got anything more to add
Yeah, so
on Pakistan?
Yeah. So Luke perfectly said, batsmen need to block it, defend it, and take their time. But do you think in this current England batting lineup, apart from Root, do you think who are the other batters who have the technique or capacity to do that? Because all the players are known for their big hits, sweeps, or aggressive kind of batting. So who is that other batsmen are able to do that?
But actually, I don't think it's a technique thing. I think all the England batters are actually capable of doing that. But I think it's a mentality thing where, yeah, you're right, they are traditionally attacking batters. And I think obviously McCullum coming in has given them the freedom to go for it from ball one. But yeah, I think they need to learn from Root, who is the master at pacing in innings, right? And yeah, they all have the defensive techniques to do it. I think it's just whether it's part of the game plan or whether they're actually prepared to do the hard yards and stick in. And I think as well, actually, now if they run down the wicket and play a stupid shot, they're protected by the management and they're not going to get telling off in the dressing room. So, yeah, I think circling back, it's a mentality issue and sort of a game plan issue rather than a technical thing.
Yeah, just quickly to add to that, it's not like our batters in the past haven't been able to apply themselves. Example number one, Ben Stokes, Headingley 2019, scored 3 off 70. And everyone, if you don't know what happened and you're listening to this podcast, then what are you doing? So there's one example. I'm sure if you had a dig around, there'd be other examples of the other batters. I mean, Duckett's had a great series again. He's probably been our all-round, our most solid player. 114, I think it was, in the second test. And again, Harry Brook, bit disappointing after his mammoth 300 in the first test. I just want to quickly say, thoughts go out to Ben Stokes and his family after hearing that news the other day of a break-in at his house. Perhaps that maybe affected his performance a little bit, which would obviously be totally understandable. I just thought I'd better mention that. Thoughts go out to him. I'm sure you're listening, Ben. If you are, yeah, we're sorry to hear about that. A look ahead to the New Zealand tour now. We've mentioned the selection of Bethel, which I'm unsure of as well. Ray, another thing I noticed looking is there's 4 spinners in the squad. So you've got Rayan Ahmed, Shoaib Bashir, Jacob Bethel, and Jack Leach. What do you think of that?
I think Jacob Bethel was selected just as a batter, I guess. With James Smith missing that test series because of his personal things. So maybe to cover up the extra batting. That's why I think Jacob Bethel was selected. But in New Zealand, I don't think you need so many spinners because the pitches will be green, grassy.
Yeah.
That's what I think is behind. I'm not sure why they go with the 3+ spinners.
Yeah, and Luke, I was having a little look at this and thought perhaps take another seamer is what I was thinking. And if they're really going to go double down, go all in on Josh Hull, then why not take him? Give him the experience of understanding what it's like to be on a tour. Maybe if we do manage to win the first 2 tests, get him in for the 3rd test. Get him that experience, get him some more experience on a different type of surface, on one similar to an Australian surface. Given the focus on that on the Ashes tour next winter, and yeah, what would you do with that squad? What changes would you make if you'd make any?
Yeah, I think there's someone who would actually bowl really well out in New Zealand. He has 704 test wickets and goes by the name of James Anderson.
No, let it go.
I just can't.
Let it go.
I just the more I think about it, and actually Ray and I were having this chat yesterday when we went out for dinner. In India, you're obviously seeing an aging team. You've got Ashwin, who I think is 38, and they're still in the team. And I think they're probably going to play until they decide that they're ready to stop. And I just really can't believe that Anderson still was given the kick when he was still fit and he wanted to go ahead. But yeah, as I say, I think as you say, sorry, I think we've gone over this before, so I will move on.
That is done. It's done. It's not going back.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
But then I harp onto guys like Sam Cook and Jamie Porter, who year in year out are topping the county championship.
I want Sam Cook there right now. I want him
Exactly.
there.
I think he bowled really well out in New Zealand. And you talk about horses for courses. When you go out to India, you pick spinners that you probably wouldn't take to Australia. But I feel like we're so hyper focused on getting a strong bowling attack for Australia. So that means pace, bounce, that we neglect these series. So New Zealand are going to be coming off a historic win in India. They're going to be super confident, and I think it's going to actually be a really tricky series for England. And I think if we lose that as well, the regime is going to come under even more scrutiny. So I think it's actually a really, really important series for England.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, I'll be looking forward to it. But yeah, I don't know. I can't say I'm confident that England will come away with a win.
Yeah. Ray, any further thoughts?
Not so important series for the WTC perspective, because we know New Zealand and England are out of the race. So, as you said, lots of cricket happening, and New Zealand versus England is not on my top priority right now.
Yeah.
Because it's nothing to do with the WTC.
Well, thank you, lads. That was a very good discussion in the end. Ray, good to see you. Good to hear your voice again.
Thank you so much, boys.
And Luke, cheers for joining me as always.
Yeah, cheers, lads. See you next week.
Brilliant. Well, we have been Behind the Stumps. Thank you so much. If you've listened all the way through, you are an absolute champ. Again, as I'm going to try and keep remembering to say, please comment. Also subscribe, I suppose, if you're listening on YouTube, slash watching on YouTube. And yeah, we're also on Spotify. We want to try and get beyond 100 views on Spotify because it's looking pretty barren over there. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back in your ears next week. Bye bye.